Assalamu alaikum, dear students. The poem that we are going to do today is Ambulances, written by Philip Larkin. Ambulances was written on 10th January 1961 and it appeared in Philip Larkin's collection, The Whitsun Wedding. The poem has got 5 stanzas. Each stanza is of 6 lines. And it has got a regular rhyme scheme A, B, C, B, C, A. When we look at the title of the poem, it clearly shows us that the poem is about illness or death. Because ambulances here in this poem have been taken as a symbol of death. In this poem, the poet is meditating on 3 aspects of death: closeness of death, randomness of death, and inevitability of death. Anthony Thwaite says, inverted commas open, his themes: love, change, disenchantment, the mystery and inexplicableness of the poet's survival, and death's finality are unshakably major. Unquote. When we look at the tone of the poem, it's quite pessimistic and sad. Now let us discuss the poem in detail. Closed like confessionals, they thread loud noons of cities, giving back none of the glances they absorb. Light, glossy grey, arms on a plaque, they come to rest at any curve. All streets in time are visited. Then children strewn on steps or road, or women coming from the shops pass smells of different dinners, see a wild white face that overtops red stretcher blankets momently as it is carried in and stored. When the poem opens, we see that Philip Larkin is comparing the ambulance to a confessional. He says, close like confessionals. As in a confessional room, when a person is making confessions, he's all alone. Nobody can see him. Neither can he see anybody across the room. So is the case with the ambulances. The person who is there in the ambulance cannot see anybody outside. Neither can anybody from outside see what's going on in the ambulance. Then he says that they thread loud noons of cities, giving back none of the glances they absorb. So he goes on to explain what he has already said, that as they pass through the loud noons of cities, so probably it's the daytime hustle and bustle of the time when this particular ambulance that he is making an example here as a subject matter of his poem, when it passed through the cities, it was probably an afternoon time. When they passed through the cities and the streets during the hustle and bustle of the day, they themselves are making a noise. They are passing through the noise, but they do not give back any of the glances that they absorb. Out of curiosity, people standing in the streets and on the roads, they give the ambulance way, they look at the ambulance, but they cannot see past through the ambulance. They cannot see what's going on in the ambulance. So the ambulance absorbs the stares and the glances of the people, but it does not return back the glances. It does not tell what is in there in the ambulance. So like a confessional, it's all enclosed. And then they come to any street. They come to rest at any curb. Here, what the poet is trying to tell about ambulances or about, because here in this poem an ambulance is taken as a symbol of death. So when it comes at any street, this shows the randomness of death. That death can pick and choose at its own choice. It comes randomly. It can come at any street, it can come at any house. Nobody can tell. The timings of the ambulance, or in other words, death, are indefinite. Then he goes on to say all streets in time are visited. That means that death is inevitable. Nobody can escape it. It comes to everybody. The time is indefinite. Which door will it choose to come? Which door will it come to knock at? Nobody can tell. But it comes, and nobody can escape it. And because here Philip Larkin has chosen the theme of death, which is a very favorite theme of Philip Larkin. And I would like to quote from another of his poem, which is In Obeyed. In that poem also he talks about death. Inverted commas open. The dread of dying and being dead flashes afresh to hold and horrify. Inverted commas closed. So through the personification of ambulance, he has in fact personified death here in this stanza. In the next stanza, now as compared to what is there in the ambulance, now in contrast, he shows the hustle and bustle of life in the street. We see the children on the steps or a road, they are playing, busy in their daily activities, or women coming from the shops past smells of different dinners. So when this ambulance, it carries the dead body, we are told that a wild white face overtops a red stretcher blanket for a moment. For a moment when the doors of the ambulance open and the dead body on a stretcher is carried and is pushed into the ambulance for just a moment. The wild, white, lifeless face is seen covered in the red blanket of the stretcher. So, amidst the hustle and bustle of life, where the dinners are being cooked and where the women are coming out of their shops, doing their daily shopping, the children playing in the street, for a moment they are shattered, and for a moment they wait, they stop to see this ambulance carrying a wild white face. So amidst this hustle and bustle, this ambulance, it gives a halt for a moment to the life activities going on in the street, and sense the solving emptiness that lies just under all we do, and for a second get it whole, so permanent and blank and true. The fastened doors recede. Poor soul, they whisper at their own distress. For borne away in deadened air may go the sudden shut of loss round something nearly at an end. And what cohered in it across the years, the unique random blend of families and fashions. So when the people standing at the sides of the street, on the roads, see the ambulance passing through and a body being moved into the ambulance. For a second, they shudder. For a second, they think. They think about the emptiness of this life. They think about the emptiness and the uselessness of all the activities that they keep on doing throughout their life. The loss of this life which they witness being carried into the ambulance makes them realize the futility of their own lives. For a moment they stop and they realize that all this hustle and bustle, all these activities that they are engaged in all their lives, they are leading to nothing. They make them realize that their all their effort, all their struggle is going to end into the same situation as that body which is being carried into the ambulance. And for a second get it whole, so permanent and blank and true. It is something which is permanent. It is something which is true. The realization of the inevitability of death makes them realize this is something which is permanent. This is the ultimate reality of their lives. So for a moment they stop to realize. They stop to realize that this is what they are going to finally lead to. And as the fastest door recede, as the body is stored into the ambulance and is no more seen, the people standing by the sides of the streets, on the roads, they whisper. They whisper and they sympathize with that poor soul which is being carried in the ambulance. In fact, they are whispering at their own distress, because for a moment this truth dawns upon them of their own fate, of a similar fate, which they don't know when they are going to face, but definitely they are going to face. And this is what makes them have a kind of a similarity with that poor soul. They share a kind of a bondage with the soul that has departed. The concept of death presented in this stanza, the futility of this life, the inevitability of death presented here by Philip Larkin, it reminds us of what Shakespeare has uttered in one of his plays, when he says, "Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." And in another poem of Philip Larkin, which is titled as Dockery and Son, he says, inverted commas open, "Life is first boredom, then fear. Whether or not we use it, it goes, and leaves what something hidden from us choose, an age, and then the only end of age."